Hi, Josh was asking me how to write the file system from the client side, from the browser. So I wanted to explain this and provide an example code and a package example website that you can clone and try yourself. But I want to start with saying that there are two ways basically that you can create an interface so that users can create file. One is to submit requests to the server and then program everything on the server side, which is much simpler. Or you can do the other way, which is to create a client-side JavaScript code that is calling an API on the server where you do the file processing. In the second case, you have to write both a server-side script and a client-side script, and the two have to talk to each other. So we are now going to look at this second option, which is the more complex one. So I have prepared this project in advance to keep this shorter, and so basically the way it will work is we are going to add entries here, and they will be sent to the server. You can see the network communication here. It is calling an API endpoint called create file, and it passes, you can see it passes the title of that file. So whatever you enter here, it will pass it as a form data in the post request. And then on the server side, the server-side API endpoint is going to create these entries in this entries file in the main bucket of that, and the title will be stored here and the file will be renamed accordingly. So this is what we are going to achieve. So I'm going to I named this cheat because I'm going to cheat at looking at it to make it faster. Let's call it, I don't want to clone it, sorry. Start from scratch and name it client, write file system from the client. That's how I named the original one apparently. Then name it like this. Alright, so first install the IDE. Second, we are going to go to the Boomla store, install the UIKit code package, and install the Turbo CSS base package. Okay. Now, let's go level up and set the file type to page 1. If you don't, this will give an error that the file type is missing. Now I save it. Now it will be fine, and we can add our page layout, which is, let's use this narrow one, and we are going to add our code here. So I'm going here. Let's turn this into an app file so that we can keep all our code inside here. Okay, so first just trying that it works in that method, sorry. Okay, it works. And now I'm going to start with the copy pasting. So going in the same code, first we are going to display a form. So I'm just going to add this here. I haven't reopened it, so let's open this. Okay, now, so this is just a form. Well, technically not, but it looks like a form with an input field that I have copied from the Turbo UI component library, and that's it. So let's refresh. There is this little form. After that, we want to load a script, which we do. Was it this one? Okay, sorry, apparently I accidentally forgot and kept the code here. That was a mistake. We are actually looking at this code here. Doesn't matter. I think the only difference is this ID, but anyway, I'm going to copy that over again. It was only the ID. So we have this form, and now I want to we are going to be using jQuery now. I'm trying to provide a solution that is a good fit for people who are not really heavy coders. So we are going to use jQuery. It's perfectly good for getting shit done. So we have to load this on the client side. So I'm going to add this code snippet here, which is going to load jQuery from a file named like this. So you have to download it, jQuery downloads. And we are going to use the compressed production version. Desktop, save. And we're going to upload this here. Apparently it has the same name. So after that is loaded, it will be present in the browser, then we can write our own script. So I'm going to add another one, script.js. This shall be loaded as well. The order on the left doesn't matter. And now we can just write some jQuery to test drive it. If you're not familiar, this function is required so that our code doesn't run until the page is, I think, initiated. It's not loaded anyways when the document is almost ready, I think. Whatever. We need to grab this and then we are going to just alert something to make sure that our code is there, and it's not. Time to look at the console. Okay, we can close this. So when I upload a file, a JavaScript file, the type of it will be set automatically, but for my own script file, it is not set, so I need to set it myself. And now it works, it says hi. Great. And that's it. Coming back here, what else is in our script file? So basically, we want to select the submit button, which is, so you can see this ID belongs to the submit button. So if this element is clicked, we want to send the data to the server. So I'm coming back to my script and we say, and this selects the button, so button, maybe we can name it. So button click. It's always good to try it. Great. If the button was clicked, then we want to access the entries. Let's come back here. Yes, I save it. And the input field has this ID. So we're coming back and say, actually, I forgot to declare it as a variable. And we can declare the $input here outside. Generally, I like to prefix all variables containing jQuery objects with a $sign. It's just a convention, you don't need it. I prefer to do so. So in that case, we go and say input.value. This returns whatever is in that input field. This is just something you have to look up in the jQuery documentation or search Stack Overflow on the internet. Now we can say alerts value to make sure that this works. Okay, we got the same value, great. After we are done with that, we have to send it back to the server. Before we can send it back to the server, we need a place where this can be processed. So I'll leave it at this. And going back on the other side, we want to store the entries in this entries file. So I'm going to prepare this first. Go to the top, create an entries file, type app1, and create a bucket. Actually, this paper has one, so I'm just going to copy it. And that way I can just edit this. It's simpler and we don't need the title. And buckets file is the type. Great, so there's the main bucket. This is where the files will go. We didn't really need to define that, but it's nice anyway. And then we are going to create an API. This is just an empty file with no type on it. And it's going to hold our create file API endpoint. So let's call it API. And inside it, we create a create file API endpoint, and it's going to be using the SGS4 engine. We're not using SGS4E or 4ET because now we are not going to output HTML, rather we are going to return data, so without HTML, so it's best to use that for this. And coming back here, yeah, I think I'll just type it out so that you can better follow. So first, when a variable comes in, so we are going to send this title, whatever was entered in the input field. So let's get the value out from the request parameters, which we can do by request the attribute string and then the name of it. Let's call it title. And if there is no title or it is empty, then we throw an error. Great. You can actually test this if I visit this. What? This didn't fail. Alright, now it's fine. Maybe I didn't save it, I don't know. Okay, so now currently we are not enforcing that it's a get or post request, so actually if we say title equals hello, then this application will be happy with the title value, so that it got one. We are not going to send the values here because we are going to use a post request, so it's going to be going to go in the background, but it can be accessed in the same way on the server side. All right. Next thing is we are going to select the entries file. And let's create the new entry. In the main bucket. So that's our new file, and we are going to rename it. That's something we can't do when we create it, so we have to set its title to the value that we got here, and we are also going to rename the file if we pass the true variable or value or parameter, whatever. Then it will be renamed in a browser or search engine friendly way. And after we're done with that, let's just say responsive body. Okay, so for now, if we load it again, it will say okay. And if we go into entries, there will be our hello file. Here is the, well, I could have used something. Where the title is different from the name, so that seems to work. Okay, I'm removing this. Going back to our API endpoint, okay, here it might be useful to immediately return a list of all the entries. So that's what I'm going to do. This list object is going to hold the values. We are going to fill in all the entries. And then we are going to return this list in a JSON format. That's how we can do it. Then we are setting the response content type to application JSON. That way jQuery will automatically parse it for us and we will be able to access all the elements in the list more easily. So and then we are going to say entries.children. Actually, children in the main bucket. And then for each entry, we are going to say, we're just going to add the titles to the end of this list. And then we are returning all the entries. So now if I refresh this, we will get hello world. And actually, as we add more entries, they will be returned after each request. Okay, so the API endpoint works. I'm going to remove these again. And back to our code, we can now handle this request here. So we are going to say $.ajax this request shall go to /API/create file. Method shall be post, and data shall be, title shall be the value. Okay, and once the returns comes back, the done method will be called or promise will be executed. And there's actually a fail promise as well. So if it fails, that will be called and we are going to display an alert. I'm not going to handle it here too nicely. And in the done, we are going to get back the list. So I'm just calling or adding the list here. Let's say I'm just going to alert all of them. So let's reload this, keep the console open, do something, and it seems to work. Great. And if we go to the entries, there they are. Nice. Going back. Yeah, and instead of alerting them, we are going to add them to the DOM here. So let me just copy that from here. Doesn't really matter how it looks. Okay, so this is just an element with a gray background, some padding and a margin and an ID, and we're going to use that ID. So this is where we are going to fill in the entries. And here we are going to say result dot I think we can say result.html shall be we shall use a div plus the list item plus, let's close it. And after that, we're just going to write that to the div. Let's see how that works out. Oh yeah, we need to click it. We can't just say enter here because we haven't handled that case. Anyway, that seems to work. I don't want to make this, like I don't want to over optimize this. So I'm going to end it here. That's how you can pass data from the client side to the server and back.